Thanks for having me here, and thank you, Stephen and Stephen, for a fantastic overview and insights. I'm here as the evil developer. Unfortunately, work for one of the least evil of the developers, one of the biggest ones. I've had 12 years working for Lend-Lease and Stockland, and one of the things that I think we can bring to the party is the capacity to control large areas and initiate change, which often can't happen in a piecemeal approach. One of the things at Stockland, we take streets very seriously, and my job as the urban designer is to be concerned about everything that isn't sold, in effect. It's about really being the caring about what the public realm is, of which vehicle movement is only a very small part of that. To do this, though, we do a series of things to try and help understand what it is that's important to our the people that live in our communities. We do a series of livability surveys, which we've done across a whole range of our communities. I think about 22 communities now, where we try and understand how people are living in our places. And road safety comes up time and time again. Road safety, the public domain, placemaking, and the design come up time and time again as what is most important to them. In some cases, we're performing quite well. In other places, we're not. And I'd be the first to admit that it's a challenge to try and achieve fantastic streets and complete streets. However, we do have some wins, and we do have some mechanisms in place that actually help us get there. And where we start is actually trying to understand what is the built form along the edge of what's the built form along the street. If you don't understand what the building form is, you can't actually understand the interface between those buildings and the street. You can't actually then affect that access condition. And then you can't define creating adequate priority routes or pedestrian connections that encourage people to get out and use these places. So to do that, we're building a Better Places manual internally, which will actually be launched internally within Stockland in about a month's time. And that manual is really about setting minimum standards for the company and actually giving our development managers tools to actually go and work with local authorities in often having that argy-bargy, or you might often have a like-minded approach within, say, a local authority, but you're often battling single entity issues. And we're trying to build the tools so that our development managers have the capacity to actually have that good argument. And I want to give an example of where this has actually been applied. And it was actually when I was in my Lend-Lease days, but we've applied the similar principles at Stockland. We built a street in Canberra in a suburb called Springbank Rise. And Springbank Rise, actually, and this is something I'd contest with Stephen Burgess, I don't think anyone's built at 5 dwelling units a hectare for about 20 years, but our average community is probably about 22 dwelling units a hectare or more, which actually presents great opportunities because we're actually building more terrace housing, more apartments, more housing that you can actually create a really active frontage to a street and a place. So anyway, getting back to Canberra, we had this major collector road that we're going to have to build through the community. It was the biggest street we had. The plan called for quite a wide road. It was going to take buses. It was also the one road that was cutting across the slope. So the cut and fill on that street, you're going to be chasing probably almost halfway across the whole project, which would mean we'd lose a lot of trees that were existing on the site. The impacts were enormous. So what we did is we said, hey, let's approach this completely differently. First, let's find housing product and land uses along the edge that can get rid of all the driveways. So at least the footpaths along the side of the road are all free of at least people making reversing movements. That helps from a starting point. At least I could send my 8-year-old along and know they're not going to get backed over by a ute. Second was, let's maybe take that street and think of it not as a street, but as a drainage conduit, as a piece of living landscape, as something that actually shows how this terrain works and how the topography works. And we actually split it up and created a split street pattern which became the lungs of that whole community. Now, that took massive amount of effort to get through local authorities, engineers, and everybody else. But we stuck at it and we worked at it, and we've actually built it to the point where every single curb return, every single element was designed to the nth degree. And I can proudly say, when I was out there a couple of weeks ago, and there's still a lot of brick trucks and things out there manoeuvring in the site, I must have seen 4 stop signs that were flattened down because the brick trucks struggled to get around the curb return and actually had not paid attention, and the back of the truck had obviously taken out the sign. That to me is a good street, because that's a street that the pedestrian can clearly cross and can clearly move through. And so we created an environment where the biggest street in our community ended up being the smallest and narrowest, and became a place that people actually want to go to and actually use to connect the different amenities in the place. Those same principles we've been applying at Stockland on a whole range of projects, not without its challenges every day of the week, and not without its challenges internally. I still battle to get footpaths on both sides of most roads. So I guess to wrap up, we the development community, particularly the large top-tier developers, take healthy places and healthy communities very, very seriously, because we all very selfishly look at every one of our residents as a customer. And we have to. We sell them a piece of land or a house. But we look at them as a customer for life, and we want them to live a long time. And so we need to create places, as opposed to be really selfish, we want to create places where they just love to live and are thrilled and will tell their friends to come. And at the end of the day, that means a healthy community. And so I think if you can sort of enlist our part of the industry as sort of an advocate, you'd actually probably get a lot of good support. Thanks.